Let's find the equation of this graph. And first of all, you'll notice that this graph is a rational function. And you'll notice that there's a vertical asymptote of x equals 1, which means in the denominator of your function, you're going to have x minus 1 in the denominator. Well, that's one thing that you'll have, right? Because the vertical asymptote is 1, positive 1, right?
That's obvious. That's what you're asking.
And then also let's notice notice another thing. Notice the x-intercept of -1 and 0. So the x-intercept of -1 and the x-intercept of 0 means that x plus 1 is a factor and x is a factor of the numerator. So we know x and x plus 1.
And that's it.
Well, now let's make sure that everything else is right.
It's true.
That might be it, but we have to make sure that all the other points work out correctly, because there could have been something multiplied in the front here as well. You could have had like a 4 or a 5 or a 6 or something, and you don't really know unless you check some points out. So let's just check one of these points right here. 2 comma, what's that look like, 6?
Yeah, 6.
2 comma 6. Let's just make sure. One thing you could do is you could like write an A in here, A in front here, because that's really the only thing that might be a little bit different. Well, there could be something. It really doesn't have to be there. It could be, you could think of the A as being in front of the whole thing.
Okay.
Right? But we know that 2 comma 6 is a point on the graph. So we're going to plug 2 in for x everywhere, and we're going to plug 6 in for y. So there's your 6 for your y. A we're trying to figure out. There's your 2, and there's your 2, and there's your 2. See what I did? Just plugging in all the x's.
Yeah, so 6 equals 6.
And what happened when I did that?
You get 6.
6a equals 6, which means a equals what?
6. Negative 6.
1.
1. Oh, yeah. It's 5.
A equals 1, which is good.
Yeah.
Because that means, did I have to write anything in front there?
No.
No. So what's my equation? F of x equals x times x plus 1 all over x minus 1.
Okay.
Ching.
I feel like that was a lot easier than I was making it to be.
Yeah, now, fortunately, we didn't have to worry about the slant asymptote. It kind of took care of itself when we built our denominator. How do we build our denominator?
Just from the asymptote.
By using the vertical asymptote. And how do we build our numerator?
From the points.
From the x-intercepts.
Yeah, the intercepts.
And then, one other thing is, are there any holes on this graph? I didn't check that. Because if there was a hole, let's say there was a hole at 2 comma 6, which there isn't, but let's say there was a hole there, then you would have to put the factor of x. Remember what that means? That means x minus 2 canceled out of the top and the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
So you would have had to add another factor of x minus 2 into the top and bottom, because it would have canceled out. But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if there was a hole there, that's the only other thing that you would have had to deal with there. Make sense?
Okay. So it is x over, or x.
That's it.
Outside, x plus 1.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's 1.